Today we are cooking one of my favorite cookies, the cookie that you can't go through December without having. It is a spiced eggnog pecan cookie. Yes, yes, yes. Eggnog is totally December. The only time I ever drink it is around the holidays. And so having it in a cookie form is going to be absolutely delicious. So before we get started, make sure you check the description box so you know what items you need for your recipe, as well as what kitchen utensils. Something I want to point out, when you choose your eggnog, you want to make sure you're choosing something that is full fat and already flavored. I'm going with Southern Comfort's vanilla spice eggnog because I really want the vanilla spice flavor to come through within my cookie. All right, so let's get started. There are two prep sections for this particular. We're going to start with our dry prep. So first you'll take your all-purpose flour. You're going to add your baking powder, your ground cinnamon, your ground nutmeg, and your ground ginger. And you're going to give that just a quick little whisk to get it nice and mixed up. And if you could smell the flavors that are already coming up through this powder, dry powder, you would know that you are in December. All right, I'm gonna leave that over to the side because we'll need that in a moment. And so now you're gonna move to your wet prep. So I've already put in my eggnog into the bowl. I have my 2 egg yolks that I'm gonna add. I also have my vanilla extract. Pour that right in. And then your kosher salt. Just pour that in there. And then give that a nice whisk. Make sure it's nice and combined. Break that yolk up some. So you're adding into your eggnog flavor profile. All right. I'm going to leave that to the side. So now it's time to start building our base of our recipe, our base of our dough. So we're going to begin by creaming our butter. You want to make sure that you are using unsalted butter at room temperature. If it's not room temperature, it just makes the creaming process take longer. So I suggest just make sure it's room temperature. You're going to add in your granulated sugar, and you're going to add in your packed light brown sugar. And you can hear right there, my oven is already going off because I went ahead and preset it to 325 degrees, which is what you will need for your cookies. So I like to use a hand mixer when I'm doing my cookies because it helps me be able to scrape the bowl easier. So I'm going to turn that on, start mixing that up. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my wet prep mixture and pour it completely into my butter base. Those go to the side since I don't need any of that. Give that a good deep mix. And you want to mix this thoroughly. This is the base of your cookie. All that eggnog, delicious flavor in there. Go ahead and turn it up some, because you want it to be fluffy, so you should see the texture change. You shouldn't be able to see so many of the sugar crystals. So this is going to be a melt in your mouth cookie. So if you can kind of see there, a nice still mixture. And so now it's time to start adding in my dry base, my dry prep. So I'm going to do half at a time. Let's take that and scoop in half of that. And so that I don't end up with a powder flume, I'm going to go ahead and use my mixer while it's off to move it around a little bit, just getting my mixer blade nice and coated, and then turn it on to low. So all that powder I just put in there is now kind of wet. See? Got that nice and incorporated. So now I'm going to go ahead and add the remainder mixture. Move these bowls out the way. Again, I'm going to go ahead and move my mixer around, holding my blade so I don't have that powder flume coming up, and turn it on low. And now I want to make sure that I don't overmix here. I just want to mix until it is all moist. Almost there. You can see that the blender's starting to make some noise there. All right, open up just a little. See, that is what your dough should look like. Okay, so now I've already finished mixing up my dough, so now it's time to go ahead and start plating it onto my pan so that I can cook it. So I've just taken some parchment paper to line my baking sheet, and I have myself just a regular ice cream scoop. And so I'm just going to pretty much go in, get myself a scoop, and I like to use a butter knife to help me with getting it off. And I'm just going to put it right down on there. Now I want to have about 2 inches between each cookie, and I want to be careful of my size just to ensure that I have some good even cooking. Okay, so I have my first batch of cookie dough all placed out. And so since it's the pecans, they've got to be the star of the show. So you want to get yourself half pecans, and you're just basically going to take it and press it down in the center of each of your dough balls. But you don't want to press too hard because you still want it to be on top of the dough ball. All right. Now that I have them all there, I'm going to go ahead and pop this in the oven. I'm going to set my timer for about 10 minutes till I can continue to check on them. You'll know your cookie is ready when the bottom is a nice golden brown. All right, we've just taken our eggnog pecan cookies out of the oven. As you can see, there's a nice golden brown bottom to each of them. So I'm going to let it sit on this pan for about 5 minutes to cool before I move it to a wire rack, because I want the cookie to kind of set before I move it. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes of my cookies cooling. The other reason I like to use parchment paper is because when I move things to the cooling rack, I prefer just cutting on my parchment paper. So I'm going to go ahead and take up an edge, come down my center, and just cut my parchment paper. I'm all about working smarter, not harder. So once I've done that, I can pretty much slide my cookies right onto my cooling rack. Move my rack closer. Just let them continue to cool. And while those are cooling, I'll go ahead and put in my next batch and continue the process. All right, so we have now finished cooling our eggnog cookies. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the optional finishing. So I'm going to take myself a cookie. And as you can see, the cookie's a nice golden brown color. Even if you look at the bottom, you can tell that it's completely done by the color. And what you can do is get yourself a small little sifter and some powdered sugar. And you're basically going to powder your cookie. See how pretty that looks? It's like a professional baker. we're becoming professional homemade bakers. All right, I'm just gonna finish powdering mine up, plate them up, and then you'll be able to see it. One thing I do want to point out is if you see when I break the cookie open, what you're looking for inside is a nice full, complete, see those air pockets? That tells you right there that cookie's gonna be good. So we got those good air pockets. Let's see what it tastes like. Melt in your mouth. True eggnog flavor coming all the way through. This is the cookie that will win some contests. Go ahead and put in the comment section if you've made the cookie and what you might have changed, what you liked, all those great things, and what you think I should bake next. See you soon.